I've studied our nation's problems in light of the conspiracy and made many recommendations in my book, which is a free download on the internet. I encourage its reading for some possible solutions. With the Congress and the White House rushing the U.S. toward failure, it's clear that the conspiracy has no regard for the people of the U.S. Here's part of what they're into. The sad fact is that the U.S., under control of the monolithic conspiracy, which I'd like to call Black Cloud, secretly runs a dirty business of hooking countries with big loans to improve their infrastructure, and then offers to make payments for them in exchange for use of their resources when the new infrastructure doesn't live up to its estimates and doesn't produce the revenues needed to make the loan payments. Feeling the pinch, the nation concedes to the rape of its lands. This is the story of the economic hitman, John Perkins, in his book of Confession. The U.S. also bribes and or threatens the nation's leaders to comply to the rape-like business deals. If a leader of this country rebukes the U.S. deals, he is assassinated by international CIA assassins or their agents. Saddam Hussein was reluctant to allow an oil pipeline across Iraq to the Gulf for international exportation of their product, and refused. Assassins couldn't catch him. So the U.S. invaded, took over, put in their puppet government, salted the participants with $9 billion of cash that George W. Bush misplaced, and the pipeline was put in. That's the war in Iraq, enforcement of an oil mandate by Black Cloud. The Black Cloud ruthless conspiracy is also known as New World Order, and is a continuation of the JFK murder and cover-up conspiracy of the early 1960s. The conspirators are integrated into the U.S. federal government and use its money to fund their dirty work. Witness their use of 200,000 secret operatives worldwide. Director of National Intelligence Dennis C. Blair disclosed these figures while introducing his 4-year national intelligence strategy during a morning conference call with reporters. This is in 2009, according to Walter Pincus of the Washington Post. And for this he was summarily fired by Barack Obama. Because Black Cloud has lied to the people through the government, which officially only admits 1/10 this amount, or 20,000 employees and $8 billion budget. The truth of the 200,000 intelligence operators shows Black Cloud's dirty tricks, saturating the world with subversives to control it. What other nation has troops in 130 foreign countries to protect a puppet president who is honoring bad business deals with the U.S. out of fear? The U.S. is carrying on with an empire-sized defense budget to help Black Cloud corporations while going bankrupt.
For we are both devoting massive sums of money to weapons that could be better devoted to combat ignorance, poverty, and disease.
My approach is to cut massive amounts from the U.S. defense budget and redefine the U.S. Armed Forces mission as protection of our sovereign nation, while abandoning the foolish and untenable empire-sized force structure of the day. We need to pull our forces out of foreign nations and encourage self-determination for each country. We need to stop military support of bad U.S. business deals worldwide and not facilitate the private rape of the planet for resources any longer. Here are 3 tools that may be used to balance the budget and restore the economy. Budget cuts directly reduce the deficit. Tax modifications may shift the tax burden and raise revenues. The increased revenue directly reduces the deficit or adds to the surplus, whichever the case. Creating jobs in the private sector at the low to middle class levels reduces welfare while directly increasing both goods and services and the money to buy them. I recommend a huge reduction in the mission of our defense. We've proven that we can extend our military strength anywhere in the world with the B-2 bomber and secure mid-air refueling. We don't need carrier task groups or operating commands worldwide. We can influence world operation militarily if necessary from our homeland with the B-2. We may defend ourselves well as a sovereign nation with a proportional defense budget like this. It includes the elimination of at least 90% of the secret operatives. The next savings is in Social Security retirement benefits. Originally, Social Security was set up in the late 1930s for support of the poor elderly portion of the population. It was never thought of as a retirement plan for the wealthy. So I reduced the benefit from the 91 percentile down to 0 at the 95 percentile of income, where it is not needed, and saved the nation $100 billion in the federal budget. Then for Medicare B, I institute a progressive copay above the 50 percentile of income to deter frivolous use, while counting the $58 billion taken from the retirement checks and the $6 billion of deductible. The last item involves a series of real improvements to the U.S. healthcare system. The current private administration costs of healthcare is $180 billion. A full 20% of insurance premiums paid. This is an inefficient make-work siphon of healthcare dollars that is not needed. Government administrative costs for the same services and healthcare providers is 2%. The best deal for ensuring basic health for all Americans is then to have a single-payer government plan with a 2% overhead. This saves $150 billion, split between the government, industry, and the people. Eliminating medical malpractice and the attendant increase in services brought on by the fear of lawsuits, we could save about $350 billion within the healthcare system, split 3 ways as before. Drug companies could cut about $40 billion out of their budgets with less advertising. And after-the-fact coordination of healthcare recipients might curtail fraud, with a savings of $100 billion. The government-industry worker split would be $290 billion for the government, $170 billion for industry, and $170 billion for the workers' families. So with real healthcare reform, we save the federal budget $290 billion. While we fuel the economy with $170 billion for industry and $170 billion for the workers and their families. This is how to cut $1.1 trillion from the federal budget.